Okay, we might make a start. Thank you, everyone. I can't whistle. If I could whistle, I would whistle. Thank you, Kate. So thank you, everyone, for staying for the annual general meeting. This is the 36th annual general meeting of TSA. I'm Alison McIver. I'm the secretary. I'm about to not be the secretary and then hopefully be the secretary again. So that part will come later. So I'd like to welcome you all. Welcome whoever is still watching this through live streaming on Facebook. I just want to let you know a few apologies that we have for today's AGM. So we have apologies from Debbie Crosby, Michelle Perkis, Michael Jones, Patrick Norris, Adish Chandra, Georgina Shilg, Sue Pinkerton and Ross Pinkerton. Any other apologies that I need to know about? No? Okay, that's all the apologies. So in your pack you have some minutes from the last AGM. And if I can have someone move that those are... That's right. So thank you, Claire. And I will second that those are actually an accurate account of what happened at the last AGM. That's great. There's also some business arising from those minutes in a table at the end of them. And I think Claire and I can assure you that the business arising from the minutes has been done. So we may again just move and second that that's been done. So for the next part of the AGM, we're going to hear some reports from our president, and then Claire is going to do the report from the treasurer and the general manager. So if you look up at the screen, we'll have a report from our president beamed up there for you. There she is.
I don't know whether Facebook's getting this, but Simon, are we? We'll see if it works.
Hi everyone, sorry I couldn't be there with you today. I had a family event to attend to, but I hope you all have a good day and learn more about TSA and connect with others. It has been a great year for TSA with many highlights and achievements. Claire will be going through these with you shortly. I think this past year there's been a great sense of community and support for TSA through so many people connecting throughout Australia. And also getting together and fundraising through either fun runs or lunches or dinners. And this is not only important in terms of raising money, but it's really great to see so many people connecting and sharing their stories and spreading the word about TSC and our organisation. This year also was a great time for us to reflect on the future. So all of our committee members got together in Sydney and we had a strategic planning weekend to look at the future of TSA and plan to help support people living with TSC. It was really great to get together and get everyone's input. I'd like to take this time to thank our General Manager, Claire Stewart. As always, she's done an amazing job, and the committee are looking forward to working with her in this next year and getting all those planning goals done and working towards a great year this coming year. I'd also like to welcome Kate, our new employee. It's great having a second person on board, and the committee look forward to working with her as well. I'd like to acknowledge all the great work that our committee does, all the volunteer time that they put in, and it's wonderful having a great group of people that have a common goal of helping TSA grow. And I'd really like to acknowledge the work that Alison McAvoy has done down in Melbourne with getting people together and organising events, and also being our secretary for the last couple of years. We really, really appreciate all the work that she puts into that. I just hope you have a good day, and I look forward to seeing you maybe another time at a future event. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now someone else can move a second. Can't we? That's the president's report.
Beautiful.
Did you get a mover in a second, or are you doing
No, we're going to do it at the end.
I remember that conversation. All right, now I need to be there because you've got my microphone. All right. So that was Debbie's report by video, recorded on Friday, I think. Sorry she couldn't be here. It's always a struggle when you're in a volunteer role. She had a big family wedding, I think, and although she was planning to come down, we just said it's probably too hard. So she did really want to be here, but Alison and I are persisting without the rest of the team here. For the Treasurer's report, we included a copy of that in your pack, so I'm quite happy for you to review that and ask any questions either within the meeting or second to it. I'm going to run through the actual financial statements as a part of my report, and so that's why Alison and I are going to then take any questions and look to move and second the reports at the end of this little section of the agenda, if that makes sense to everyone. So now we get into some less meeting procedural things and more interesting content. Well, I think it's interesting because I love my job. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. Essentially, this year for TSA was a juggle between investing in the growth of the organisation and all the things that we really want to do and keeping our core activities going. We saw quite high costs in administration or our base non-project specific costs, as well as in fundraising or development, due to this trying to get the balance right as we try and grow. Recruiting our first outsider took time and we didn't get it right the first time, and that cost us therefore money. We're really pleased that we now have Kate in the role, and I'm really confident that she's going to be a key part of the team to guide TSA into the next stage of our growth. I'm going to take you through the money that came in and how we got it, and then the money that went out and what we did with it. So that's going to be trying to make these financial statements sort of come to life, I hope. Some of you will be quite familiar with the P&L. If you have, a business background or you run a business, some of you doesn't really make much sense, so feel free to ask questions. I'm really proud of our income this year. So as many of you know, it was initially funding for specific projects that led to TSA being able to break through what I call the not-for-profit glass ceiling of going from fully volunteer run to having a staff member. But you'll see this year or in the year we've just finished, that we sort of continued to grow our income and there wasn't a single grant from Novartis. So, when I talk to other rare disease organisations about what they should do when a pharmaceutical company comes on the scene, TSA, we thought a lot about this. We didn't go into it blindly, and I think we should all be really proud of how we've managed to go through this phase in our organisation and come out the other end a lot stronger. We're not dependent on money from Novartis, but we've managed to accomplish a lot, both in what we've done over the last 5 years, as well as where we're now at, and what we are confident that we can do in the next few years. So, I've put that in a pie chart because it's pretty. And so you can see where our income came from. A lot of community fundraising, a lot of, for the most part, unsolicited donations, which is really amazing. So a lot of you here in the room take money out of your household budget and support our organisation. And I know that TSC comes with its own financial burdens, so it's always absolutely amazing to us, the generosity of the TSC community and their family and friends. We did receive a few small grants for specific activities, and we did do some TSA-run fundraising events as well. And Patrick, our treasurer, does a really good job of fairly aggressively managing our conservative investments into term deposits to try and maximise our income. So you can see we've got some investment income there as well. So thank you very much to Pat. What actually happened in order to get that money in the door was a whole lot of TSC Heroes activity. TSC Heroes was formed by the Place family in 2014 in honour of their daughter Zara, who's in the top left. And in the last financial year hit an amazing milestone. Altogether, Heroes have raised over $100,000 for TSA. The event at which we hit that milestone was the Western Sydney Ironman in November 2016, and you'll see that I'm actually in that top photo. So not only do I ask you to fundraise, I swam 1.9 Ks, and I was therefore am 1/6 of an Ironman. I'm kind of proud of that, 1/3 of a half Ironman. But thank you to everyone that came together. I mean, that photo that I'm in is with two of my close friends who did much more work than me in a 90K bike ride and an easy half marathon on the back of that to finish off the team. But it was an amazing event, and we'd love to replicate that in other places as well, both for the sense of community community spirit and the bonding that happened. There was 4 different TSC families involved in that Sydney group, but also obviously what it enables us to do with the fundraising. We also had other Heroes events, including City to Surf in Sydney, Bridge to Brisbane, and Run for a Reason in Perth. Sonara is the woman in the bottom left photo, such a beautiful photo, and her quote was, "I would just like to shout out to Tuberous Sclerosis Australia, who have had our backs for the last 2 years, giving us valuable life-saving advice on Matt's condition and being a wealth of knowledge in navigating through diagnosis and treatment." We had community events, a Bunnings staff function for an AFL grand final around this time last year, and Daphne celebrated her 40th birthday and fundraised for several charities, including TSA. Our members contributed over $11,000, and our champions, who donate to us monthly, their total during the year came to $6,000. We had a campaign in memory of Sienna Goong from Brisbane, I'm not going to cry. Ooh. And we had a few Imagine campaigns that Kate will talk to you about later today, as well as, you know, an event close to my heart, which is Lizzie's Lunch. Also not supposed to cry during my GM's report. So you can see all of those things came together to raise the amazing total we did during the year without any major grants from Novartis. And we're looking forward to that growing. So now we come to the other side of the P&L, which is how we spent the money. What you see in the actual accounts there is kind of the type of expense, but then we group all our expenses by what we actually spent the money on. And I'm really happy if anyone wants to sit with me. We use an amazing, I just love how accounting systems have improved over the last 10 years. We can easily drill down on any of these, and you guys are stakeholders, so I'm happy to sit with you with the accounts and say, what was this? You know, you've got lots of travel and accommodation. What was that actually spent on? Totally happy with that level of transparency, but didn't want to bombard you with too much detail. So you can see here that our expenses roughly fell into thirds. And this is not where we want to be long term, but we think it's where we need to be right now so that we can grow TSA to the next stage. So the other thing to keep in mind looking at this pie chart, which shows that we only really spent about 1/3 of our money on direct costs for our services, is that this doesn't include all the volunteer time that goes in. So all of the contributions from our volunteers don't appear in our financial statements, and that includes both our TSA volunteers that are on the management committee, as well as Teresa, our reach out editor, our medical advisors, the other members of the TSC Professionals Network that review information, that come and speak at events like this as well. So what we actually did, so in information and support, we helped more than 50 people through the year. They come to us and they talk about a new diagnosis, finding a doctor in their area, and other challenges, and sometimes they really just need someone who can listen and understand what they're talking about. We covered, for those of you who are members, I did some numbers yesterday, we covered 76 topics in our Facebook group, and altogether that was 658 posts. I find it challenging when I talk about my work, and I'm really proud of our little discussions of TSC Facebook group. To outsiders, it seems it's just a Facebook group. But for those that are members of other Facebook groups that aren't as wonderful as our group is, I think can appreciate what we've created there. And it does actually take time to keep it that way. The moderation involved and putting good information into that group takes time, but I think it's worth it. Some of our most active posts were, for example, a difficult question from an adult with TSC considering having children. Other topics discuss sleep, the side effects of medicines, genetic testing, how to administer medication, the NDIS, managing challenging behaviours. During the year, we also created a new group for parents of babies with TSC that are part of the Lady Salento Children's Hospital Clinic in Brisbane. That's been a bit of an experiment, and I think we need to sit back and look at whether that subgroup really worked or whether we need to find another way to address that need. We continue to maintain our website. Our TSC information pages remain the most popular part of that, which is great. It's a fantastic resource. We get between 25 and 170 visitors each day, and 65% of those are in Australia. And that's fairly constant through the year. We saw a big peak around the time that April Reach Out was produced, and I can't figure out what else was happening at that time, and also around Global Awareness Day in May. We covered 2 topics in our twice-a-year magazine Reach Out. We covered off both epilepsy and digital health. We had events, I'm trying to check, is this the same one? Oh, there we go. We had events. So we had a New Babies Day at the Lady Cilento Children's Hospital in Brisbane, and the subsequent Facebook group that we created. It's really challenging in a rare population because you're looking at so few people. How do you create a group to meet needs but have enough people to actually create a community? Interested if anyone's got any ideas of how to do that online. As many of you know, we held our first webinar, and I think a few of you joined in the fun, and certainly the recording is now available. So that focused on emerging epilepsy treatments, and I'd had asked Dr. John Lawson from Sydney Children's Hospital to cover off both mTOR inhibitors and cannabis, but I think we spent pretty much all of the time talking about CBD. But the feedback we got is that it was a really helpful opportunity for people to understand what can be a really challenging area to get good information on. We also held picnics in quite a few locations, and for some people that's exactly what they need. They just want an opportunity to sit down informally and have a chat and talk to people that understand some of what they're going through. And I think we're going to continue to hold something like that, but we need to work on it. So I'm always happy to hear your feedback on that. We also held a separate meet-up in Canberra, pretty much just because I was in Canberra, and that was really nice too, an afternoon in a cafe. Oh, I'm on the next topic. So the other half of our kind of mission-related work, so to speak, is what we sort of group under research and improving healthcare. So we did a submission to the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Scheme, which are the group that make decisions about our PBS or our reimbursement for our medicines in Australia. We did a submission to their Drug Utilisation Subcommittee, which was all about reviewing what's happened since these medicines, these mTOR inhibitors, or specifically Afinitor, was added to the PBS. And thank you for the families that volunteered their stories as a part of that submission. We got some really good feedback. The message we put in was, thank you, this medicine is having an impact, but here is all the unmet need in TSC. This medicine is not curative, we need more. And I think that's really fertile ground for the decision they'll be making in November, and we've been in the process of preparing our submission related to that. And that's about listing the same medicine but expanding the listing for epilepsy, so intractable seizures. We have gotten involved in a couple of consultations that other people have driven, so trying to present the voice of people living with TSC into those policy discussions. And we've done that in partnership with both Consumers Health Forum of Australia as well as Rare Voices. We've continued to try and wrap up our first health economics study, looking at the out-of-pocket costs experienced by families with children with TSC. We've been involved in trying to improve access to topical rapamycin, which we'll talk about this afternoon in our very last session of the day. And that included a milestone that was not really loudly celebrated, so I'll talk about it now, which was including that medicine on Queensland Health's funding list. So in Queensland, if you've ever been a patient at Lady Cilento Children's Hospital, the Queensland government has committed to funding that forever. Which is similar to what's happening at Royal Children's, but it was quite exciting to get that across the line. And Fiona Gregory, although she's probably never going to listen to this, is a fantastic pharmacist at Lady Cilento or in Queensland Health that has helped with that and really gone above and beyond her work to help make that happen, trying to get her to talk to her colleagues in every other state, but we'll see how we go. It's always a frustratingly slow process. We awarded the 2016 Elizabeth Pinkerton Memorial Award to Simon Harvey in the sense that we told him he was getting the award. This afternoon and for the rest of the day, we'll be embarrassing him by talking about the fact that he's got that award, and that'll come up just before his talk this afternoon. So we continue to do that as a small token way to reward and acknowledge the work of the health professionals that go above and beyond for their TSC patients. And it might seem small, but it's funny how I introduce myself to someone, they say, "Oh, I've seen that award on my colleague's desk. They love it. They always have it out." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'm glad it has an impact." We've continued to advertise research projects to assist with recruitment. For example, a UK study into challenging behaviours, a study into rare diseases, to ensure that those research projects succeed. We celebrated the expansion of the Sydney Children's Hospital clinic into an adolescent and young adults clinic. So that's increased the age range to an official 25, but an unofficial whatever the doctors can sneak in, which is fantastic. And our TSC Professionals Network is now at 40 members. So as I've talked to a few of you about, that focuses just on medical specialists, so dealing with one part of the body. And I think there's some demand, excitement, enthusiasm for trying to move that out to look at, say, general practitioners and general paediatricians as well. So that's a list that if you're looking for a doctor, that's a good way to start. We often have gaps, we're trying to fill them, but a great way to fill them is if someone asks us a question, we can go and find the doctor in that specialty, in that age range, in that location, and add them through. So we're trying to build this up slowly, but again, this is the sort of work that we need more resources to do. So as you can see, we did spend a lot of money on development, which was a lot of it about strategy. So some of it's direct fundraising costs, a lot of it is figuring out what we're going to do to grow the organisation. And the accountability and administration is boring things like insurance, making sure we have good governance, the time taken to prepare these sorts of things so that you guys are engaged. That all comes as a kind of overhead category. We don't pay rent. Kate and I both work from home. We try to be as lean an organisation as possible. But for those of us that have worked in not-for-profits, it's always challenging to hear donors focus on, say, how much do you spend on administration? And say, well, do you know what administration is? So we are trying to keep an eye on our costs as we grow, but happy to talk more about those separately. Just a shout out, obviously, we did advertise. This was our first attempt at recruiting for the role in my town in Orange, but we realised there really wasn't the right person there, so we thought we'd go wider. And then we've recruited Teresa Llewellyn-Jones, who now edits Reach Out. She's absolutely fantastic, has a gift with editing and brevity and grammar and spelling that I don't have, which is great. And she's replaced or filled the shoes of David Matheson, who took that role for a long time. And it was good to see Debbie Crosby awarded for her work. So not only is she president of TSA, she's also the other key person who might answer the phone or respond to your email if you contact our TSA information service. So that gets me to where we're at. So the balance sheet shows us where we started as far as the assets or the cash, the money that we had in the bank. We don't really have many other assets at TSA, and how we added to that during the year. So you can see that we increased it slightly, and we're in here for the long haul. We don't expect TSC to be cured and the need for TSA to go away. So although $300,000 in the bank sounds like a lot, that's the reason we're now able to invest and figure out how we're going to grow TSA over the next few years. The liabilities are just sort of operating things about having staff. There's no big debts involved there. So where to from here? So our latest strategic plan came up with these objectives, which are kind of tweaked to what they used to be, and we're figuring out what to do to enable us to achieve the goals under that, and we're working through that with the committee as well. Always happy to hear your ideas, and sometimes the answer will be, I'd love to, but we just don't have the manpower yet, but we're figuring that out. So over the next 1 year, sorry, I've spoken ahead of my notes. Our 2017 and 18 priorities are kind of similar. We need to maintain our current level of activities in information and support and research and improving healthcare, but we're doing some work to plan the expansion of our activities. So designing funding-ready projects and taking those out to people. So whether that's philanthropic trusts and foundations, whether it's high-value donors, whether it's big campaigns like we did with the Topical Rapamycin project to really inspire you guys and other people in the community to get behind our work. We're also trying to figure out the best way to develop an Australian research strategy for TSC, bring the right people together so we get that right, and start expanding the way we fund research. Historically, we've been very opportunistic. A project comes our way and we look to say, without too much science, do we like this project? Yes, we should fund it. We need to start making sure that if we're going to continue to invest in research, that we're getting the most value for that. So we need some sort of strategy as well. So it's all about growing and bringing money in the door and trying to figure out the best way to grow the organisation to be able to do all of those things up there as our priorities. So that comes to the end of the 3 reports. I'm really happy to take some questions. I know I'm standing between you and lunch and we still have to elect office bearers, but Alison, are we taking questions now or do you want to leave them for general business? Take some questions. Did anyone have anything they wanted to find out, find more information on about what TSA has done and what it plans to do? No? Totally happy to take these questions at any point, so feel free to ask me. As I said, I love my job, so watch out, you might have me talking your ear off for a while. I get to stop talking now. Alison?
Could we have someone move Claire's and the Treasurer's and the President's report? Anyone? Thank you, Kate. And someone to second her? Lovely, thank you. That's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to do the formal election part now. So I'll ask Tamara to come up here. Tamara's going to be our returning officer for the formal part. We don't have a spare mic, Tamara, so yes, why don't you just stand there? That's wonderful. So we've appointed Tamara, the returning officer, so I declare that we've spilled all the positions and hand over to you.
Please excuse me if I do this wrong. I've never done this before. So the first position is for president. The nominee is Debbie Crosby. She was nominated by Patrick Norris and seconded by Alison McIver.
Good. Just go through them.
Okay, good.
Beautiful. No, don't think so.
The next is the treasurer. The nominee is Patrick Norris, nominated by Alison McIver and seconded by Michael Jones. The next is secretary. The nominee is Alison McIver, nominated by Michael Jones and seconded by Debbie Crosby. The next we have our committee members. The first is Michael Jones, nominated by Michael Purkis and seconded by Debbie Crosby. The next is Michael Purkis, nominated by Michael Jones and seconded by Debbie Crosby. Georgina Shilk.
Yes, beautiful.
Excellent. Nominated by Alison McIver and seconded by Scott Shilk. And then we have Adish Chandra, nominated by Debbie Crosby and seconded by Patrick Norris.
Perfect.
Next we have our appointment of the regional contacts. The regional contact for Victoria, the nominee is Narelle Kerr.
No, there we just do it as formality.
The next is the regional contact for New South Wales, which is Sally Nicholson. The regional contact for the ACT is Dawn Barra. Regional contact for Western Australia is Nicole Stone. Regional contact for the South East Queensland is Fiona Crocker. Regional contact for South East Queensland, Christy Herbert. And the regional contact for Tasmania is Georgina Shilk.
Beautiful. All good, thank you. Okay, we just need someone to... So they're all existing committee members and office bearers that we're just reappointing. So if we can have someone to nominate them. Can I? Anyone? Thank you. Seconder? Claire, thank you. Okay, so the only other thing that we need to do is appoint Debbie Crosby, who you saw just before. She's going to be the public officer again. We need one of those to do some of the formal things during the year. We also have medical advisors that Claire mentioned before that assist us to review some of the information that goes on the website. We have 3 of those. We're going to reappoint Dr. John Lawson, Dr. Sean Kennedy and Dr. David Mowat. So we will do that. And the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to hear from the lovely Kate about opportunities for the TSC community to be involved in fundraising. Come on down, Kate. Thank you.
I just have to move this down a little bit. Yep, quite a lot. Hi everyone, many of you I've met already and had the chance to say hello to, but for those I haven't yet, hi, I'm Kate and I'm very new at Tuberous Sclerosis Australia. I joined a couple of months ago in the role of fundraising. Certainly got my role cut out for me. I can see how much the organisation relies on your generous support so that we can continue to help families like yours. So a little bit about myself. I've worked in fundraising for about 10 years for Sydney Children's Hospital in Randwick, doing a number of different fundraising activities from community support to major donors and corporate partnerships as well. So I hope I'll be able to bring some of my learnings from my years there to TSA. And I guess what I want to say is I've seen firsthand the major impact that donations can have on improving the lives of children and adults with serious medical conditions. And I know that working together with you all can have huge benefits for our TSC community for the future. So Claire's touched a little bit on where the fundraising dollars have gone. I guess I just want to say that we have this vision that we want everyone with TSC to live a better life and have a more hopeful future. And we really hope that fundraising can help us achieve that vision. We want to be able to help each of the 50 babies born with TSC this year to have access to the best help, the best information and the very best outcomes possible. I'm not sure if you know, but we rely solely on donations from the community. TSA receive no government funding at all. So your memberships, your donations, your regular giving come together to enable us to do the work we do. There's so much more that we really want to do, and I guess I'm asking for your help. People outside the TSC community have really not heard of TSC before, so I feel like it's really up to us to try and advocate for people with TSC and help inspire people to fundraise so that we can improve the lives for people with TSC. The things that we really want to do are continue to provide accurate and up-to-date information to ensure that everyone who's newly diagnosed with TSC has someone to turn to improve the new diagnosis experience and how early that happens, and what early intervention treatments are offered so that we can minimise the harmful impacts of TSC. And ultimately, we want to find a cure. Whether that's through prevention or treatments, that's the ultimate goal there. So I guess I want to talk to you a little bit more about what can you do. The first thing, and as you've heard from Claire, our TSC heroes have raised over $100,000, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I don't know if you know what a TSC hero is, but these are people who take on personal challenges, like join in an Ironman competition or a fun run, and they ask their family and friends to make donations to support their challenge. We actually have an event coming up in Melbourne in the not too distant future, and the wonderful Alison is taking on her first TSC hero event in Melbourne City to See. So she's going to do a 5-kilometre walk or run, or possibly a bit of both.
Jork.
And if you live here in Melbourne and would like to join Alison, I'm sure she'd love to get a team of people together to do that. She has raised $1,000 so far. Websites like Everyday Hero, I'm not sure if you've heard of them, make it very easy for you to go out to your communities and help to raise money. So you share a little bit about your story and why TSA is important to you. And you can email or Facebook, if you're doing Facebook, that information out to your family and friends and ask them to make a donation. And every dollar really makes a difference. We don't have to be asking people for a lot of money, but, you know, if half the people you know give $10, you know, you can raise $1,000 pretty quickly. And that money helps what we do so much. So if being an Ironman is not your thing, there's plenty of other options. 1/6 even of an Ironman. You know, something we really want to focus on in the year ahead is to try and create more corporate partnerships. And we'd like to look to you to ask about the environments you work in, and do you work for a corporate organisation that might have a corporate social responsibility program? And many large organisations these days do. And in fact, many of them want to support charities that have touched the lives of their staff members. So if you have any opportunity to get TSA in front of the people who are making those decisions about preferred charities, please give me a call. And I want to say, we'll then do the hard work. We'll put together proposals in the case of support and highlight how their donations will make a big impact. But we'd love to work with you. If you can think of anybody that you know that might be able to make a donation, that'd be wonderful. Another idea is to host a fundraising event. And it can be something simple, from putting on a morning tea at work, like the Cancer Council's biggest morning tea, and asking for gold coin donations. Even something at your child's school, like a gold coin donation day, crazy hair day, a mufti day. Lots of schools have that on the last day of term each year, and they're looking for charities to support. Another idea, you could throw a dinner party and ask guests to pay what they'd normally pay if they went out to a restaurant. And that's a great way to get a group of friends together and have a lovely evening and support a charity that's important to so many people. Obviously, putting on an event is not up for everyone. But if you think of any ideas, we're here to help you and support you through that. And we've got lots of great ideas and lots of tools to help you make these kind of things a big success. So please give me a call and have a chat to me if you think it might be something you could do. Claire mentioned briefly our Imagine campaign. So last year we launched this idea to help try and engage your family and friends with the aim to share a postcard of your loved one and solicit donations in their honour. We find that when someone is diagnosed with TSA, it affects so many people in your community, and people often want to help, but they just don't know how. And by asking them to donate in your honour, you're giving them a chance to feel like they're doing something to help you. It's not too late if you wanted to do something this Christmas. Christmas is often a time of giving. We could create one of these for you to send out, for example, with your Christmas cards and ask people to consider making a donation in your honour for Christmas this year. They're all just ideas. You could do it any time of year for a christening, for a birthday, and we'll put together all the artwork and really help you through that process. Couple more ideas, I'm nearly finished. Join a fundraising committee. We are thinking about setting up a fundraising committee and organising an annual event here in Melbourne. We want to put out the idea of possibly creating a Comedy for Cure event. So this is an event that TS Alliance in the US roll out every year and very successfully, and they're happy to work with us to try and replicate a similar thing here in Australia. We know Melbourne is the capital for comedy, and so we think maybe trying to tie it in with Melbourne's Comedy Festival every year might have some legs. If that's something that you would be interested in working with me on, please come and have a chat to me, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Another thing that is so helpful in terms of raising funds and awareness is just sharing your story. It doesn't just help other families by knowing that they're not alone, by reading what your experiences. It greatly helps us seek funds from corporates and grant-giving organisations. By sharing your hopes, we can inspire others to make a gift that they know will make a real difference to people like you. And I guess I just want to say, come up with your own ideas too. Do anything. We'd just love you guys to get involved, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. So no matter what your idea, big or small, every dollar is going to help us do what we do. And I just want to leave you with this quote that I really love by a very inspirational woman, Helen Keller, who said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And in my short time working here at TSA, I've been so impressed by the supportive, caring and generous community that the TSC families are, and I really look forward to working with each of you to help everyone born with TSC live a better life. Thank you.
Any questions for Kate as she scurries off?
Oh, right away. I'm happy to take questions, or come and chat to me at lunch if you want to.
No, all good. Any final questions for Claire?
Is it only for me?
Or me? No?
No.
All good. That's great.
Where
I
is
think
our lunch? Is that the question?
We'll close the official meeting then.
Okay.
And I'll hand you over.